welcome to Geezertalk. At long last, gentlemen, we made it. We've talked about
We're here.
we've talked about this for so long, like a bunch of old farts. But at last, we finally did it. So, to start us off, brief introduction to the show. We like pretty much all things sports, travel, outdoor exercise, and pretty much anything else fun and interesting. And we're multi-generational.
TV shows from the 1960s.
That's right.
Oh, that's me. That's just me because I'm the boomer.
That's right. Anyways, we're a multi-generational podcast looking to cover pretty much anything. All topics are game. So that said, to my most immediate right on screen, representing the boomers, hailing from a predominantly boomer suburb on the very edge of what could still be deemed Metro Los Angeles, give it up for ripe old Rich.
Yay.
That was so enthusiastic, Rich.
I'm a geezer. What do you want from me? I'm conserving my energy to get through the day.
And representing D-Generation X, hailing from a boomer-dominated suburb of beautiful Denver, Colorado. And he's informed me he has no cell phone coverage whatsoever and fully dependent on Wi-Fi. And sporting his traditional Ron Howard look. Give it up for the bald and the beautiful, DJ Slats.
Yeah,
how
you all?
And I like the Dodger hat, I must say.
Right, yeah. Maybe before I introduce myself, I think you're going to have to explain that. So you're from the Denver area and you're wearing a Dodgers hat. What's up with that?
Who wants to root for a team that knows how to win?
I'm a SoCal original. I'm the OG. Born and raised in Oxnard, California, just north of LA, representing the boys in blue my whole life.
Very nice. And
I have to say, now that I live out here, I will tell you, Oxnard, while the name sounds pretty crappy, it's a pretty nice area.
Okay.
And
that's all I have to say. Move on.
All right. Right, Bold Rich. Some love for the coastal Ventura County area. And last but not least, I'm your host, JB, and I'm from a less geezer-dominated part of actual Los Angeles. I will be representing the older geezer millennials, if you will. So, starting it off light, gentlemen, since this is our first time doing this podcast together, how are your weekends? Don't all talk at once.
Well, my weekend was busy yesterday since I was spending the day with my granddaughter, and unfortunately her family had to come with me, but so we spent a day at the library and out in kind of like a botanical gardens area. So it was pretty nice out in Pasadena area of LA. So it was nice. And obviously, since I'm a geezer, I have a granddaughter who's 5 years old.
Very nice. And that said, so it sounds like you're introducing her to the geezer ways. You spent all of your Sunday at a library.
Well, part of it was library, part of it was gardens outside. So it was good though. It's fun to spend time with her. And a library, yes. I mean, maybe in another 100 years we won't know what a library is, right? So there are still books around, and it was actually pretty cool because we saw a copy of Canterbury Tales, Gutenberg's Bible, which is, one of the first major things on a real printing press. So it was actually pretty educational too.
Right. And you're one of the few left that's old enough you can read Latin, right?
I'd say something in Latin, but I don't want you to get the wrong idea.
Okay. All right. Slats, how was your weekend?
I spent it on the couch. I've been recouping from a cold that I caught from a business trip. Good times. Went to Vegas, caught some funk. Yeah.
And I should add, Saturday I went to the gym, which is kind of a usual occurrence for me, right? 3 to 4 times a week. Still hitting the weights.
Good for you. And Slats, we're glad you're with us today, and we
hope
you're doing better from your business trip, because I know those business trips are valuable. We got to pay ripe old Rich's Social Security.
I know.
That's right. Keep it coming, baby. Got to keep up with inflation,
Speaking of inflation, so main highlight of my weekend, went out to dinner with some friends in an Italian restaurant Saturday night, and talk about inflation. So my wife and I, we just got like chicken and pasta dish with tip, $75. Like, talk
That's
about some
yeah,
serious
that's par for
inflation.
the course.
Yeah, no kidding. Yet, I don't know. I'm looking at my raise from, I got the standard half-baked attempted appreciation by my employer of 2%. And what was your COLA increase for Social Security this year, Rich?
I think it was 3.7% last year.
Wow, it's better than
I
the.
would have taken
Look,
that.
I remember here, and we have not planned this talk. We don't know what the other one's going to say, but I remember growing up in New Jersey as a little kid, you could buy a dozen bagels at a deli for 96 cents, 8 cents a bagel, and they gave you a free one on top of it.
Baker's dozen.
And my wife says I still think prices should be like that I lived back in the 60s. 60s music, 60s prices, 60s cars. They were pretty cool too.
Yeah, worth a lot of money now too. And gosh, I mean, at least here, can't even buy one bagel for what 96 cents anymore. Slats, can you get a bagel
Yeah.
for under $1 in Denver?
No.
Now you get a bagel and like cream cheese or butter, it's like $3
If that.
if you're lucky.
Yeah.
If you're lucky.
You're talking about inflation. Watching this is Geezertalk right here. Watching reruns of like Adam 12 and The Emergency, and that's all based down there in L.A. And they're driving by the old gas stations, and you see like
Oh yeah.
they were in a parking lot. I was watching an episode the other night. They were in a parking lot. Parking was 25 cents an hour. 25 cents.
What was the gas?
Oh,
like
I don't-
59 cents
I
a
don't remember
gallon
the
or
gas,
something?
but it was cents. Yeah, cents.
I remember 32.9. That's I think the lowest I remember for a gallon of gas,
Yep.
32.9 cents.
I remember paying my buddy in high school $2 a week for gas to drive me to school because he had a car and I didn't.
That's right.
I remember when I first filled up, the cheapest I remember was $1.99. Now we're paying like $4.50 if we're lucky.
Yeah, what's gas there?
Out in LA, yeah.
$4.50?
$4.50.
On the low side. I just
Yeah, that's going to Costco.
on
Literally
the
cheapest you can
weekend
get.
I saw over $5 a gallon out here.
You're paying,
$3.
they rip you off on the octane. You only get 85.
No,
They
you
steal 2 octanes from you.
on the low end.
When I lived in Denver, one of the first times I got shocked, I was driving to a job interview actually and had to get gas by the airport, filled up the rental car, and I go to put the nozzle in and it's 85 octane. And I'm like, oh, this must be really cheap stuff or whatever. And I didn't get it because I didn't realize that's regular octane in Denver is 85 because of the altitude.
Yeah.
So
Well,
we're an educational podcast too.
exactly. So thinking of educational topics, let's talk about something that people young and old, but mostly old, struggle with: technology. So as I understand it, as of a few weeks ago, you do not have the proper equipment to even be a podcast host. So
That's
tell us
true.
about your experience getting the right equipment, your headset that's making it look like you're from the 1990s, sitting in a cubicle answering phones, and getting a laptop. And I heard you had a little bit of a mishap trying to promote the show on Nextdoor and didn't realize you had to give people an actual link to our YouTube channel.
Well, I was just telling people it was coming, but in my defense, unless I'm wrong, I have it on authority that one of the Kelseys wears a headset during their podcast too. So I think it might be. No, I was told that.
They both
That's
have.
not true.
They have, and mics like Jason's mic in front of him. Sorry.
A mic. All right, I was told they had one of them
No,
had
people that wear
headphones, I
these
guess.
simply take your orders for burgers and shakes.
Yes, they sitting in their cubicle. Hi, may I take your order? Or like you said, hi, would you like fries with that? The drive-through at McDonald's,
Yep.
right? It's not bad though. It's comfortable. It's not the worst thing in the world. Technology-wise, though, I'm okay with technology for a geezer. I'm not great, but I'm not horrible. I did have an old desktop that didn't have a camera that worked. So I did get into the 21st century, and a good laptop computer has a built-in camera.
Are you sure?
built-in
I heard you
microphone.
didn't know if it had a built-in camera.
Well, I figured it did, but I had to open it up and make sure. and I see it flashing right now, so I know it's operating. And I had to get the headphones for the mic, but I'm okay with technology. I'm not as bad as you think.
All right. Well,
Welcome aboard.
congratulations. Yeah, we're in what?
What was that, DJ?
Welcome aboard.
Oh, thanks. Good to be in the 21st century.
Yep. Good.
So,
Okay.
speaking of happy topics, but a little bit back in the day, so we have some geezer finds. So, posted some pictures for all of you watching out there to see, but a couple on-point topics for our Gen Xer and our Boomer. I found a copy of 1980s themed Monopoly. And right on point for you, Slats. That's pretty much maybe not your peak, but where you really started to come of age and become the DJ Slats we all know and mostly like to this day.
Did you become a man in the 1980s?
The 80s were it. Come on now. The 80s had the best music. We can argue of other generations, but the 80s had some classics.
All right. So what are 80s classics from the music scene to you?
I mean,
anything U2.
Well,
right?
U2 for sure.
Likes U2.
But let's be honest. Journey. How can you go wrong with Journey from the 80s? You had big hair bands, Motley Crue. Countless songs. 80s one-hit wonders. Great songs from the 80s.
I could think of a good one-hit wonder from the 80s.
Go for it.
It's a telephone number. You know what
Jenny's
that is?
number. Exactly.
Right. Got it off the bathroom wall, 867-5309.
That's right.
Did you try to dial that number?
The 80s were good stuff.
Were you disappointed when you tried to dial it and it failed, Slats?
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, Jenny didn't answer. Some guy named Mark.
Oh.
So speaking of 80s music, I know you just saw U2 in the Sphere in Vegas not too long ago, maybe late last year. How was it?
It was incredible. Like, I can't even tell you how incredible that venue is. It's no video, no picture, nothing that you've seen can do justice to what it is in person. My buddy Mike and I were giggling because it was so just over the top cool. So yeah, if you have a chance to see a show there, it is worth every penny.
You were giggling.
We were giggling. We were grown men giggling because it was just, I can't even just, it was just overstimulation. It was just,
my wife was in Vegas not too long ago in January, and she got a tour of it, took a tour of the place, and also said, yeah, it was pretty remarkable.
Yeah, the outside is cool, but the inside at a show it's incredible. It's incredible.
Huh.
Very nice.
Maybe they could have a 60s concert there. Make it psychedelic.
I think Fish is the next group going there. They'll make that psychedelic.
The 90s version of the wild 60s.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah.
Don't know them. Heard of them, but don't know anything about them.
That's some geezer talk right there.
Mm-hmm.
So speaking of geezers, so another geezer find out there. We have perhaps the original typewriter you learned how to type on. It's Hermes 10. It looks like it's more than 60 years old, and if we dusted for fingerprints, will we find yours, Ripe Old Rich?
Well, I don't go back quite that far. But I did learn how to type on what was a revolutionary typewriter at the time, an IBM Selectronic. And the big breakthrough there was when you made a mistake and you typed a letter wrong, you could backspace and hit a key, and I guess it was correction tape or something would white out the wrong letter, and then you could type over it again. But trust me, I was glad I learned typing. I took it my senior year in high school, and I think I got up to about 40 words a minute with less than 3 mistakes. They used to give you a test. And of course, we would cheat a little bit on the test, but it came in very handy, to learn how to type, and I'm really glad I did it.
How do you cheat on a typing test?
You would, I think, not count all the mistakes or something. I don't know, or your buddy. I think you gave your paper to somebody else, and But I was pretty legit with it. To this day I can type relatively decent.
Slats, when did you learn how to type? Was it in high school or
It was high
more
school. We
current?
had typing class in high school. Yep. I don't remember a corrective ribbon. I remember just the whiteout.
Hmm.
So you must have been
Maybe I
at
was at a high class high school. I don't
You
know.
must have been.
Willingboro, New Jersey.
We
Middle
were in the
class all
hood.
the way.
Camarillo High School, baby.
Camarillo, wow.
Yep.
Remember when I moved out here, right? Or not when I had a job out here in California, and the first time I saw Camarillo written or whatever, I pronounced it Camarillo.
Everybody does.
They all had a good laugh at me. That's
So
the Spanish. The Spanish LL is Ria, like
yeah.
not L's.
So here's a little tidbit on Camarillo. A lot of my early childhood friends were Mexicans. It's a good Hispanic population down there. They used to write Cama, C-A-M-A, asterisk, Rio. So people like you from out of town could say it right. So it was Cama, Rio.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Camarillo.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. So you two learned how to type in high school. I learned how to type in elementary school. We had a computer lab, and the old app, I think it was like Apple 2Gs or whatever they called them. They had like 3-color monitors, and we played Oregon Trail on them, and that's how we learned how to type.
Those computers are probably worth a lot of money right now.
If they
Apple
still work.
ones for sure, or Apple Macs, right? The first Macintosh ones.
Yeah, I mean, I just remember it looked like this giant box. It was like an off-white color, had a little rainbow-colored apple on it, and yeah, I think it was 3 or 4 colors, and
yep,
we had these little sheets. We like practice home row keys, and we always looked forward to going in there because we loved playing Oregon Trail. And I don't know, I think I only ever finished that game one time, but whatever.
I think those computers were really expensive back in the day too.
Probably.
Those real basic ones. Yeah, I mean, what you can get now for $1,000 would blow those things out of the water.
An iPhone costs more than a computer does now.
That's true.
Yeah,
I mean, I
true.
just got, I think we talked about it earlier, maybe. I just got this new laptop, and I got it for, I think it was $7.99 on sale. It's got incredible amount of memory and RAM, and it's less than, I guess, a new iPhone 15 would be.
Yep. All about convenience, baby. Got to fit in the pocket. So,
Yep.
So let's move on now to a new segment we have here called Geezer Memes. So I want you each to check your phone right now. We're going to play a little game with this. So get a pen and paper handy. And I want you to have a look. And the challenge is, do you understand the reference? So I want you to write it down when you've got the answer. And let me know when you're ready.
All right.
All right. Slats is ready. How about Ripe Old Rich? You got an answer
You
here?
want me to? Here's my answer.
Let's see what we got. Go Dodgers is not the correct answer. What's Slats? There it is. Married with Children. There's the right answer.
Love
I should
and
say,
marriage.
if anybody from my childhood watches this podcast, me saying "Go Dodgers" would not surprise them. Growing up in New Jersey as a little kid, from probably the time I started elementary school, I was a Dodger fan. So all my buddies ever heard me talk about was the Dodgers and Sandy Koufax, and I always wore number 32, and I was a left-handed pitcher, and so Dodger fan from way back when. So living out here in California, getting to watch Dodger games is pretty incredible for me.
Sure. So same question for you I posed for Slats at the top of the show. You're from New Jersey. Why are you wearing a Dodger shirt?
The reason I'm a Dodger fan is, I guess, goes back to the days of when they were in Brooklyn. Not that I'm that old, but I have an older brother who, when he was a little kid,
So he's that
and
old.
we lived in. He is. We lived in Long Island, and the Dodgers were in Brooklyn until he was, I believe, 7 years old. And he liked the Dodgers. And when they moved to LA, a lot of Dodger fans deserted the Dodgers, couldn't stand them because they left Brooklyn. But a lot of Brooklyn people continue to follow him, and he followed him. And my big brother liked him, so I became a Dodger fan.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Sure. Good stuff. So here's a bonus question, actually, for on the Geezer meme. So that was a picture of the Chicago skyline where Married with Children took place. The bonus question is, what other popular show from that era also took place in Chicago?
I
Got
know
me.
they have
Nobody?
all those Chicago shows now on Wednesday nights. Chicago
Yeah.
Fire, Chicago Med, and Chicago PD, right?
Yeah.
Guess that's not one of them.
No.
Chicago Pizza? Is that one of them too?
No, but it's good.
It was
Yes, it
Mr.
is.
Pizza, wasn't it?
The correct answer is
I don't
Family
know.
Matters.
Oh.
Family Matters. That's
So
where
have I officially found the line for
the
you,
kid with
DJ Spots, between old and really old?
Yeah. Didn't he have the big glasses and the suspenders? Was that Urkel?
That was Urkel.
Jameel White?
Yeah. I believe Jaleel
Jameel
White.
something. What is it?
Jaleel White.
I'm close.
That
Pretty
was close,
close.
Rich.
Pretty
Proud
good for a
work.
geezer. Yeah.
Yeah.
Proud work.
Who played the rifleman?
If the
Come
show's
on.
not in color, I don't have a clue.
Classic. And he's one of the few athletes to play two professional sports, the rifleman. He played for the Dodgers and the Boston Celtics. Was not a standout with either, but he did play two professional sports. Chuck Connors. Guys ever
Okay.
heard the name? DJ, you heard the name?
Maybe.
Maybe. Okay. Yeah. Classic Western.
I've
Yep.
heard of Jimmy Connors, the tennis player.
Maybe
All
they're
right.
distantly related.
Maybe. But yeah, good show today, guys. Fun start. We're out of the gate. But before we break, we're going to send you away with our too cool for old school homework assignment. That's right. Just because you're geezers doesn't mean you're too old to not have homework. The assignment, and this is for all of us, myself included, for something we'll talk about next week, because while we have fun together, talking about a variety of topics, giving each other crap about being old or maybe not as old. Yeah, it'd be nice to maybe pick up spots somewhere down the line. And on point with Geezertalk and humorous things about generations, the assignment for our next show, and we'll talk about it and compare notes, is I want you to make a top 10 list of brands that you think would be suitable for sponsoring our podcast.
I can do that, considering I was in advertising for most of my career, right?
All right. How you feeling about this, Slats?
Well,
You look very
first thing that
pensive.
came to mind was Depends.
What's that?
That's on my list. That'll be on my list.
What?
AARP is a good one.
AARP.
Cadillac.
Well, we don't want. I'm not giving away anymore. I don't want to give
Okay,
away.
yeah. We have to think on our own now.
All
Exactly.
right. Well, something that's harder to do with age, but we'll do that. We'll have it ready for next time on Geezertalk.